And so, who are some of the the black-owned cigar companies, minority-owned cigar companies that you're liking, that you're seeing the progress? You really want to, either reach out to you if if they have not reached out before, or that you're working with right now that you're promoting. Just give me your thoughts on that and your list of those companies that you would like to work with or working with right now.
Well, my list of those companies is really small. Matter of fact, it's basically um, the Breaks, Alex and Steve, and then there's a company called Emperor's Cut. They're out of Atlanta. I've talked to them several times. We were going to do a big promotional thing for them. I was going to get their cigars in here, but since the pandemic, things have really just gotten kind of crazy, and so we don't really have any direction to go. What I want to do, and I hope to do, is have some more black companies, female or male, period, reach out to me, and I'm more than willing to work with them and try and get their stuff in the shop. And I will promote their stuff. I mean, because, like I said once before, if they do good, we do good as a community. I do good, everybody around me will do good, and we don't do enough networking as black people, especially in business. And the one thing that irks me the most is when somebody comes in and says, well, can I get a discount?
Right.
You don't go to
Right.
Macy's and ask them, can you cut the price on this?
Exactly.
You just go ahead and pay that price. And that's what we have to do. We have to sustain ourselves. My wife has her own business too. And she gets it all the time because she's a baker. She's a small bakery and people come to her all the time. But my wife has got quality ingredients in her stuff. And so we have quality ingredients. We have quality cigars in here. So I can't give you a discount.
Right.
I got to eat next week.
Exactly.
So,
You know,
but
and that's one thing about business, especially being a black-owned business owner myself, seeing it all the time, and that, just black-owned in general, that irks me too is the, can I get a discount, or because we're black-owned business owners, we're supposed to, give the hookup every single time, but it's a black-owned business, and just as a small business in general, people need to understand that we can't survive on giving discounts. We can't survive on always hooking up our boys or hooking up our sister or brother or cousin, mother, and when we are producing quality, a quality stick, a quality pour, quality, anything that we're producing, we need to always stick together.
absolutely.
So, from a businessman's perspective, how do you see? I know you said us sticking together, but is there any other, you know, events or pieces of advice that you have for those black owned, those minority owned, those small business, cigar stores, cigar companies that are trying to get into the game, that are trying to make their foot, get a foot in the industry, because of course, you already named a couple that are dominating the industry right now. Um, what kind of piece of advice would you give to them, like on a type of hustle type of direction, marketing type of direction? What would you say that catches your eye as the manager of Tobacco Plus, that they can bring and set themselves apart, or will help them take this interview and learn from it?
The biggest thing is you can't be scared of rejection. You got to get your face out there. The more people see your face, the more people see you at different events, pushing your thing, the more attention you're going to attract. You can't be scared of rejection. That's the biggest thing. And then you need to hit the little shops, because everybody wants to hit the big shops and go big, but you got to crawl before you walk.
Yeah.
You got to crawl before you walk, and they'll start paying attention to you, because now all of a sudden you're taking sales from them, and so they might even take you as a partner or something. Like Gurkha is one of the biggest cigar distributors in the world. He buys other lines all the time. A lot of his stuff is not really his stuff. It's a different line that he put his name on. And so you want to make sure that they notice you. The only way to get noticed is to get out there, and it's a struggle. I mean, it took this man 25 years to really get his game going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now he's top of the game. You know, he's not scared to travel. You know, we do different events all the time, especially the summertime. Summertime is a big time for events. Go to the golf courses, hit the golf courses up and say, hey, I want to do a cigar event here. This is my line of cigars, yada yada, this and that. But make sure you got all your stuff in order, and that's where you start at. And people start wanting your stuff. People start wanting your stuff, but you got to get out there. There's no way about it. You just can't sit back and do word of mouth advertising.
Right.
You know,
Right.
okay, you know, my boys they out there, they're gonna tell me my cigar is good. Yeah, they're gonna tell you it's good, hoping they get a couple free.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. They just trying to, you know, smooth them way in there to get a free box or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but not, you know, not really paying the quality is going to be a sustainable, make you a sustainable company. You know, so as you hear, you know, from one of the, you know, best well-known, you know, cigar aficionados, especially here in Chicago, you know, general manager of Tobacco Plus here in Madison, I should say. You know, go out and hustle. You know, see, he's loving that tequila still
Yes,
too.
sir.
You know.
Wow.
So, you know, one thing, if you ever, you know, watch my page, you know I love to pair music with my you know, my tequila and my cigar recommendations and just my love for it. You know, I know that you're old school, you know, old school music type of guy. So let us know, you know, what's in your CD player. Well, I keep saying CD player, you know, aging myself a little bit, you know. But you know, what music are you listening to right now? You know, what are the classics that you love? Who are your favorite artists? Who's someone new, if there's anyone new, that you loving right now, and that you love to have a nice stick to?
One of my favorite artists is Al Jarreau. I love me some Al Jarreau. He's old school. He scats. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but he has some sounds that come out of his mouth that to me are just phenomenal, and he pairs it with his music just perfectly. As far as a newer guy, is Kim. Kim's, when I first heard him, I thought he was Al Jarreau.
Right.
You know, I'm really old school, so I'm talking 60s, 70s music. You know, I love the Shy Lights, Manhattans. You know, I don't know. It's just so many different old school groups that I'm constantly listening to it here in the shop. You know, I do a little new school stuff. I'm not really into a whole lot of rap, and I love my jazz.
Oh yeah.
I like my slow jazz. You know, that is really relaxing to me. You know?
What's your favorite song? What would be, if you were to list the top 5 songs? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but you know, what would be either the top 5 artists or top 5 songs, something that you have to listen to every single day to get your day started? Because me personally, you know, I have to listen to a little bit Kendrick Lamar. You know, I have to go some old school. You know, Jimi Hendrix is in my. You know, he's been playing all day for me. I just went to a small, socially distanced. You know, it's COVID, so I have to make sure it's known. Socially distanced birthday party with some close friends that are in my bubble, and we had a 70s dress up party. And you know, anyone knows me, my spirit, my music spirit guy is Jimi Hendrix, so I went and dressed up as Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
You know, so who would be, you know, that individual for you? Who would be, you know, what are you listening to right now? What do you need to listen to every single day?
I listen to a lot of Luther. I love Luther Vandross. When I first came to Chicago, he was just busting. He was still with the group Change, and he was just busting out. So I'm kind of stuck on Luther because it brings me back to when I was young and got here to Chicago. Sounds of Blackness. I like to listen to something that's going to uplift me and motivate me. So I like Sounds of Blackness a lot of their stuff. And then I just kind of take it from there. I mean, whatever I hear, whatever I'm hearing, I got to listen to something upbeat though. I don't do a whole lot of rap. especially when they start talking about our females and calling them.
Right, right.
I'm not into all that, you know. And it's funny even for me to bring that up. I grew up in the era of Superfly and the Mac and all the black exploitation movies. Never seen any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen any of them because I knew they were degrading our people, and I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. To this day, I've never seen Superfly. Never seen the Mac. I did see Shaft. I did see Shaft.
Well, that's, you know, it's one of the iconic films, you know, that you just have to see. You know, it may not spotlight, you know, sisters in the best light. It may not spotlight African American females in the best light, but it's just such an iconic movie that you have to see it. You know, so I love that, you know, that we have that a part of our culture still.
Absolutely.
You know, well, I know you know, one thing I want to hit back on is, you know, you said that when you first came to Chicago, where are you from?
I'm originally from San Francisco, and I joined the Navy. They stationed me in Jacksonville, Florida. I got out the Navy. I stopped in Lexington, Mississippi to see my grandparents, and seen a picture of my cousin, and my grandmother told me she lives up in Chicago, and right then my uncle called. It wasn't even like 2 minutes later, my uncle called. My uncle was the owner of MacArthur's restaurant on the west side, and so he called. We talked for a minute. He said, "Come on up here, and I need some help." So I'm like, "Okay." I figured I'd go up there for about 5-6 months, and I'll end up back in San Francisco. Well, 41 years later, I'm still here. You know?
Chicago grabs you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no place like Chicago. I remember I flew home and was home for about 2 weeks. I was flying back. I missed my flight, so they had me on standby. And so they gave me the worst seat on the plane. And Chicago has a reputation, is what I'm leading to. And so it was this woman sitting by the window. This little guy was sitting right in the middle seat, and when he see me coming, he kind of spread it out. And I was in the aisle seat, right by the galley. And so I sat down, and I'll never forget, and he was trying to spread out, make himself wide. And I gave him an elbow, and I said, "Look here, sucker, I'm not visiting Chicago, I'm from Chicago."
Right.
You know, and he kind of looked, he just sat there shaking the whole flight. But I spent my whole entire adult life here. Been here 41 years.
Oh yeah.
And I love it, but it's time to go.
So where's the next destination?
Next destination, I think it's going to be South Haven, Mississippi.
Nice.
And I'm going to open up one of these down there, for one. It's just time to go.
What kind of time frame are you thinking?
Within the next year.
Nice.
Within the next year. It's time to move on.
I understand.
I'm retired. Things are settled. Things are good. So I want to go where I get more bang for my buck.
There you go. There you go. I mean, well, you know, Mississippi, you can, you know, I've never been to South Haven, Mississippi, but my grandfather's from Jackson, Mississippi. You know, anything I've known, it's more of a relaxed pace. You know, you can sit back, enjoy your time. You know, you have, you know, cost of living is a lot cheaper down there than it is in Chicago.
Absolutely.
You know, so you can get a nice piece of land, you know, for a good price, you know, and just sit back and enjoy your cigars and, you know, enjoy your days. You know, so you're gonna be opening a Tobacco Plus down there? Or are you gonna be opening your own shop? What's the
Right now, it's basically going to be my own shop. I got other plans as far as things that I want to do down there. You know, speaking of being a black business, we're always on the back end of technology as far as black people and stuff. And so one of the things I want to do down there, I'm definitely buying a piece of land, but I want to put a solar farm and a wind turbine farm down there. Doesn't have to be nothing real big, but it'd be enough where I'll generate enough electricity where they'll be paying me every month.
Nice.
Instead of me paying them. You know, small strip mall where I can put my wife's bakery because she's into her baking business. This woman loves to bake. So her bakery, maybe a small cigar shop, because I don't plan on being tied down to it. Because if I decide I want to go fishing today, I'm not opening up. You know,
Right.
if I want to sit there and chill with the guys, okay, because that's not where I'm making my money from.
Right.
You know, like you said, it can be laid back, nice and easy. You know, I'm really into cars. I love cars. You know, it's kind of going for motorcycles a little bit, but my wife don't want me to have one. So
Yeah, you know, I'm the same way. I love the big boy Harleys, the ones you can just sit back, you know, and just cruise the the big old handlebars, you know, just sit back up,
yeah.
you know, the rat bikes, you know. And when I met my wife, you know, I was in the process of about to buy one, and she's like, nah, like not gonna happen, you know. She's like, we're gonna have kids, you know. I need you to be here. I don't need you to get out there and be on the road and end up in an accident and everything of that nature, you know. But I love cars. I love the 65 and a half Mustang GT, you know, the one that's gone in 60 seconds. That's my dream car, you know. So what's on the top of your list as dream cars?
Actually, it's reachable. I want a 2017 Mustang convertible.
Nice.
And the reason I want one of those is my first car was a 65 Mustang. I ended up selling it and then went to the Navy. The reason I wanted 2017 is because that's the year I retired. And I want to go back to my first love. I thought about a couple other different cars that were convertibles, like the Benz convertible. I wanted a Cadillac XLR until a friend of mine put his roof in the trunk of the car and there was no room. And I'm like, you know what? It's a nice car, but I want to be able to drive with my hair blowing in the wind. I can't, you know, have anything in the trunk.
Right.
So I went back to the Mustang, and what I like about the Mustang, it's been out there for years, and you can customize it any way you want. It won't cost you an arm and a leg.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And so I don't have to be the fastest Mustang out there. I just want the coolest looking Mustang out there.
Exactly. You know, put smoke on the side of it, or you know,
Absolutely.
have your cigar ashtrays right there, and be able to just cruise, you know, and enjoy a nice smoke, you know, and it's a beautiful thing, you know. It's ultimate relaxation, you know, ultimate enjoyment, you know, and it's bliss,
Absolutely.
you know. And one thing that motivated me with this, going from the industry that I was in and, you know, coming into starting this, was just I wanted to get out of something that was high stress, you know, and be able to sit down and have these conversations like I'm having with you right now, you know, and have a nice pour, you know, and just have an easy conversation.
Right.
You know, so what are some of the best conversations you say you've had, or that people, you know, best topics to talk about that you like to start in your, you know, in the cigar lounge here when this is up and open, you know, and we can have a nice packed event? You know, what are some of the best conversations that you would say that you got into? Who are some of the famous people, or some of the most influential people to your life that you've had, you know, you met just over a nice pour, and just a nice relaxing evening of just sitting back to, you know, some Luther, or, you know, some of your favorite music, and just enjoying a good time?
Most of the famous people I met, and the most famous person to me that I met was Bernie Mac, and I met him here in
Chicago legend.
He's just like he was on TV, cool, smooth, talk stuff. One of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Now I made the mistake one day. He was over there on the other side, and it was a young lady that worked at the mattress store. This used to be a mattress store, and I went and got her and brought him to her. And so he was cool with her, and he smiled and he laughed and he took pictures with her, and she was just so excited and stuff. So she went back to the shop, and I went back over to talk to Bernie, and he snapped on me. He said, "Don't bring a crowd to me." He said, "I can draw a crowd." He said, "Never ever bring a crowd to me."
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, okay, cool. But he did it where we were alone, which
Right.
was cool.
Right.
And then the other time, probably about a month and a half later, I was over at Geno's in Calumet City, and Bernie came in, and he was standing right next to me. I'm sitting at the bar, and people were just bum rushing. And I didn't say nothing. I just smiled and stuff, and they asked me for autographs and this and that. And so then 2 days later, he comes in the shop. I said, "Hey, I seen you at Geno's, Bernie," and he snapped on me again. He's like, "You seen me at Geno's? You didn't speak to me?" I'm like, "Bernie, everybody was." He said, "No. If I seen you any place, I make sure that I say hello to you." He said, "You were supposed to speak to me." He said, "We're friends, ain't we?" And I was like, wow, he thought of me that much.
Nice.
Wow.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What's Bernie Mac? I mean, I get goosebumps just knowing that Bernie Mac has been in this cigar lounge. Is this is one that he frequent, and then you're friends with him. Bernie Mac is one of the he's the king of comedy.
Absolutely.
King of comedy, and this is his this is one of his cigar lounges. So I have to ask you, what's one of the funniest stories? Maybe if you have a funny story of you just kicking back with Bernie. What's one of the funniest stories that you have, an experience you have with him? I had to ask this because Bernie is my father-in-law. I'm gonna show him this. I'm gonna show him this.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure he sees this because he is a huge Bernie Mac fan. He's West Side to the fullest. You and him, I believe, are in the same age bracket. You, him, and Bernie. So I have to have this story.
It's one of them things you really had to be there. But Bernie was in here, and he had the Jethro teeth with the big buck teeth sitting out, and they're all brown and stuff in his mouth. And all the women that were coming in, he was just chasing them. And oh, come here, baby, let me get next to you. What's your number? And they're like, "Oh, get away! Can you get that guy out of here?" And I'm crying, laughing. I'm like, "No, you don't want to be." But it was hilarious how he was doing it. And he just came back and he just laughed. He thought it was funny as hell. But he's like, "I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna do another one." On the serious side, he told me a couple of stories that were kind of believable. No, they weren't kind of believable. I believed stuff would happen. He had went to his mother-in-law's house, and there was a guy out there. People start coming out, so he's signing autographs, doing what he does. And this guy had his hair half braided and half unbraided, and the guy kept saying, "Bernie Mac, be funny, be funny." And finally, he told me, he said, "Look, guy," he's like, "I'm here signing autographs, yeah, this and that." And the guy told Bernie, "Look, MF, I'm a gangster. You do what I say." And Bernie stopped dead in his tracks, and he told the guy, "No, I'm a gangster. I'll make a phone call and your mama will be sick tomorrow." And I was like, whoa, yeah, that's gangster.
Oh yeah.
But I believe he could make one of those phone calls.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, Bernie Mac he's Bernie Mac. He's a legend of the streets. Legend of the comedy game. Rest in peace to Bernie Mac. We all miss him.
When his daughter first got pregnant, he lived in Frankfurt over here. We went to his house and serviced his humidor. Because the one thing about Bernie Mac, when he was on a Bernie Mac show, the cigars that he was smoking, he purchased them from here.
Oh, nice. Amazing.
He told me, I was talking to him, he's like, "I can get these cigars anywhere. People give them to me. I don't take them." He's like, "Because loyalty is real important." He's like, "These guys were behind. They had my back when I was really nobody." And I was like, wow.
Yes,
He
sir.
said, so I buy my cigars from him. So we used to service his humidor. And so we went to his house, and he was just so excited because he found out his daughter was pregnant. And he was getting all the Mickey Mouse and Mighty Mouse and all the old school cartoons because his granddaughter was going to be raised up on these. He said the stuff that they have now, he said, it's nothing. So he was going way, way back. I mean, he was just buying, he was going crazy. And I'm like, wow, this is a cool guy. He had a whole room already set up for his grandbaby and everything. I think he just found out his daughter was pregnant.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. You know, that's hey, I can sit here and listen, stories about Bernie Mac all day. And just the history of the store. Hearing you talk about, especially in small businesses and starting out, where you started out with nothing. You were the second customer ever in this store. You are the history of this store. And circle back in history, one of my business partners, one of the guys that that helps grow this company is Jason Rudolph, and he is one of great friends with Thor,
Okay.
who is the owner of Cigar Press. I remember you told me a story about Thor coming in here because he was he's high end cigars. He was just getting started, and he wanted a job here. And there's a picture over there of you being in Cigar Press.
Right.
So, can you tell me a story about Thor and all that, because I'm gonna send this portion to Jason, so
Okay.
Jason can send this to Thor and he can watch the interview, because I know he's gonna be. I already know he's a huge fan of yours. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I know he's gonna appreciate our conversation, especially this portion of it as well, because I want to make sure that he hears it, and I even buy some of my cigars from him.
Okay.
So he's been instrumental into my cigar growth along with you. So if you could, please let us know, tell us a story about how you and Thor met, how that Cigar Press interview came about.
So Thor used to come in. He was probably about 14. Is when he really started, and he would come in all the time, and he would ask for a job. Oh, I just want to work around cigars. I just love cigars. Unbeknownst to us, his father was really into cigars too, but he never mentioned that. And we kept telling him, no, you're too young. No, you're too this, and it was constant for almost like 3 years. I think he was about 19 when he really stopped coming in. And then next thing you know, we found out that he got in contact with us. He had moved to LA and he started Cigar Press.
Thanks.
And so we started picking up his magazine. And the day that he approached Zayd, the owner of the shop, and asked Zayd to be in the magazine, on the magazine. And Zayd said, no, I don't really want to do that. He's like, but I got somebody for you. And then Zayd mentioned me, and Thor's like, oh yeah, I remember so this and that. So he asked me about it to do an interview and stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do that for you. I didn't really know at the time until after the magazine was out that I'm only the second person to be on Cigar Press.
Oh,
Most of
nice.
his magazine covers are artwork or something, but there's
Right.
no profile of anybody. And so once it came out and I found out and everything, I told Thor the next person that should be on the cover of your magazine should be your dad.
That's amazing.
Because your dad is where you got started at. And as far as I'm concerned, Dad is always a hero. But it was great because the day that he took all the pictures and stuff, his dad was with him. Matter of fact, his dad was the one taking the pictures. So, and I told him, I said, the next guy should be on there, should be your dad.
Amazing.
By all means.
Amazing. So,
Excuse me.
it's amazing to know, how integral you've been, and just the key piece in seeing him start that out, seeing him as a 14-year-old kid, and helping him grow his love for cigars. Of course, with his dad being the main, individuals, and you being, one of the first people that's, one of the only people that were featured on Cigar Press, front of the magazine. That's absolutely amazing, and it's kind of coming full circle.
Absolutely.
Because now, you're episode number 2 of Hustler Mentality for Tequila Lovers Anonymous, and I hope this is not the last interview that you do, but I would be honored if this, is one of the last interviews you do, and just knowing that, you started with a friend of mine, with his, and being the, in the second edition of that, and now you're the second episode of mine.
Wow, I didn't even tie that together.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing,
Wow.
and having that connection, because, like I said, my uncle and also Billy, who's, who dad owns Madison Liquor, both of them were like, hey, you need to go see Smoke. But mainly it was my uncle who's got me involved in is integral in me being in the cigar culture, and has been one that's given me the confidence to keep going with this. It's
It's
I'm
an
kind of
amazing
speechless
world.
about it all.
Yeah, it's an amazing culture. That's all I can say. I met Jonathan Drew. He was one of our biggest supporters too. I got to take my hat off to Drew Estates. He was up and coming. He kind of blew up. We started featuring a lot of his stuff